after a season that saw them miss the playoffs for the second time in his tenure with LA. Now, Bill Plaschke of the LA Times, he's reporting that he heard Phil Jackson, who of course is consulting with owner Jeannie Buss this offseason, would like to see LeBron traded and would also like to keep Russell Westbrook. Shannon, I bet your heart stopped. What do you make of all this?
Nothing. Feel out of his mind. This goes to show now New York Knicks fans understand why they were so terrible. No general manager, there's not one general manager that's in his position today would take Russell Westbrook over a year 20 LeBron James. Not one. Only Phil Jackson, who ran the Knicks into the ground. So if you do that, you're going to end up tanking. And do you realize the Pelicans can swap picks with the Lakers? Phil don't understand that. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, Skip, the last couple of years hadn't gone according to plan for the Lakers. But they got a championship. Can you tell the people at home what Russell has gotten in the last 4 years? A different team every single year, and they've advanced past the first round once. That's what he's done. And somehow Phil Jackson says, you know what? I'd rather have Russ than LeBron James. Even though Russ and those historic stats that he's put up doesn't equate to wins. We know what LeBron does. LeBron has a resume that says 10 final appearances, 8 in a row. He's won the Finals MVP, won a championship just 2 years ago. And Phil Jackson, because it's personal, we know there is no love lost between Phil Jackson and LeBron James. Phil does not like the way LeBron plays because he says it's too much one-on-one basketball. He just happened to have two of the best one-on-one players of all time. But okay, hey, you want to say
he did not like LeBron with the Heat and would refer to it as Xbox basketball, one-on-one Xbox.
I mean, so when and when he said that, everybody rolled their eyes. And everybody said that we know Phil Jackson, the coach, was great, but in that other role that he served with the Knicks, he was awful. And he was. And by saying something like this, by letting this, and I don't know, Bill Plaschke said that's what he heard, that could not even be true. But we're basing it on the premise that it is. It just goes to show you how bad Phil Jackson was as a general manager, as a team builder. Arguably, Skip, let's just say for the sake of argument, you and I just having a discussion. I believe he is, you believe that he isn't. The best player of all time. But he's top 2. You say, you know what, I would trade the top 2 player, even though he just came off a 30-point, 8 rebound, 6 assist season. I'm going to trade him for a guy that was basically led all the way up to the last 2 or 3 ball games before they sat him down for the rest of the season, was leading the league in turnovers. That's what we want. We want to build a franchise around him. What guard you building a franchise around? Especially a guard that's not as athletic, that his whole premise of how great he was based on athleticism. And we see the athleticism start to wane. We see the missed dunks. We see the poor shooting percentage in the lane. Man shot 56% in the restricted area. So for me, this is after 17,053 that Phil Jackson would actually think about, well, he's probably broached it. But Jeannie Buss like, you think I'm going to let LeBron James break this all-time record in another uniform? You think I'm going to Skip, it's my stars. Stars, Kareem, Magic, Worthy, Shaq, Kobe, LeBron. And you go, we're going to give up LeBron for Russ. Even the LA Laker Nation, and Russ is born and raised in LA, think that's a foolish idea.
Okay. I have known Bill Plaschke forever, have high regard for him, and I will remind you, late in the Lakers season, just before they missed the playoffs, he wrote, it's time to trade LeBron. So he's already on record in a personal opinion of, yes, it's time to trade LeBron. So that's out there. That is the landscape from which he is operating. Just recently, a couple of days ago, Bill got a sit-down lunch interview with Jeannie Buss, a lengthy interview in which she spilled for the first time. I didn't think she said all that much in the end. She said, I'm mad as hell, but we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to go business as usual.
And expect a different result.
Right.
I'm going to keep the same people in place.
Exactly.
Give me the same advice, but I'm expecting a different result, Bill.
And she sang her praises of one LeBron James. I just need to try to keep him happy. So she didn't indicate at all that was her mission, was to get him out of there, right? But because Bill had this sit down with her, because he's plugged in, that it's possible he even heard this from Jeannie in an off-the-record type comment. I have no idea. I'm just saying that that's how close to the situation Bill has been, because they had a lengthy time. I don't know if it was a couple hours or whatever, but it was a lengthy interview that he had over lunch. So the point is, could he have heard it from the quote-unquote horse's mouth? Because she readily admitted in the interview, yes, Phil and I are now very close again. We go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner out in public. We're seen, but we're no longer romantic. Fine.
Right.
But the point is, he's back in the fold. He's back in everybody's good graces because he is now the chief, the primary advisor to Jeannie on the Lakers, right? He has her ear. And she has the highest regard for his basketball knowledge because he did, as a coach, win her championships.
Yes, Skip.
Okay.
But Skip, as far as building a team, when she saw what he was doing with the Knicks, why would I ask him anything? If you want to say, well Skip, if you want to say, well, Phil, here's what this guy says that this would be his system. This is how he likes to operate, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But as far as building a team, when he might have been one of the worst team builders in NBA history, and I'm going to take advice from him.
Okay, I do think he's a pretty great judge of basketball talent.
How?
At the highest level, at the star level.
Skip, he had an opportunity to build the Knicks for 4 years and he was terrible. How did he judge talent?
Okay, what do we know about LeBron James? You call him the top 2 player. You call him the...
I call him the GOAT, yes.
Okay, the phony GOAT. What did the quote-unquote GOAT do last year? He led the Los Angeles Lakers. He's by far the best player, mainly because AD was out most of the year, but he was by far the best player, and he led them to no playoffs. That's what Phil is looking at, like, what are you doing? Don't you see what's happening? He is aging. Father Time is tapping him on the shoulder. So he's saying to Jeannie, I'm assuming, he's whispering in her ear right now, why would you keep him? Just to watch him break the record? That's a sideshow.
So let me ask you a question.
That's trying to fill seats with something that doesn't count.
Let me ask you a question. Who do you think Father Time has touched more, Russ or LeBron?
I don't know. I never was the biggest Russ fan when he was in Oklahoma City, so it's hard for me to justify what you're saying because I wasn't a fan from the start.
Okay, but you watched. Yep. You see the missed dunks. You see the missed layups.
I'll buy that. Yep. Okay. All right, but I saw LeBron fail to close again and again and again. It's like, this is your team, this is your time. You got to take us home.
Skip, you got to stop this.
No, I'm starting it because he is not a closer, but he's never been much of a closer.
But Skip, you keep saying he's not a closer. He's not a closer when he has more buzzer beater and game-winning shots than anyone in history.
20 years.
Okay,
you know how many he's missed? We don't have enough show.
I guarantee you. Every guy that's made buzzer beaters has missed more than they've made. Who in the hell? More guys have missed more game-winning kicks, more game-winning throws. That's the way it works, Skip.
He is by far the worst late-game free throw shooter in the history of this game. I can just show you the numbers.
I get Skip.
Nobody has missed as many late-game clutch-time free throws as LeBron James. But the point is, I'm talking about closing where you figure it out. You get it home the way Magic always got it home during the Showtime years. You get the game home. I don't see LeBron able to get the game home anymore.
Skip, here's the thing. Magic makes a pass, and Worthy would make a shot, or Kareem hit a sky hook, or Jamal Wilkes or somebody would hit a shot. Okay, they won. LeBron makes the same thing. If they missed a shot, you blame LeBron that the guy missed a shot. Okay. And see, this is why I know I got you on the run, because you go to late game free throws. You take an isolated incident, not the totality.
It's his Achilles heel. It's what he can't do. He runs from the late game free throw line, and when you're the quote unquote closer, you can't run from it.
For the most part, name a player that didn't have a weakness. I want you to tell me one player that didn't have a weakness.
He's a lousy.
No. Okay.
He's a lousy three-point shooter, and he ranked 15th in the league in attempts.
Let me ask you a question. Was he a worse?
He shot 34%.
Okay. But was he a worse three-point shooter than Michael or Kobe?
They didn't. Again, I don't care about Kobe, but on Michael, they didn't prioritize.
But Skip, just because you don't prioritize something, that doesn't mean you can't shoot a high percentage.
But was Michael 15th in the league in attempts? No, he's probably 115th.
Let me ask you a question. So Larry Bird didn't prioritize the three either, but he had a higher percentage than Michael Jordan. You see what you did? Exactly. You don't care. When I point the thing out.
It's because you're telling me this is the greatest player in history.
Yeah.
You're telling me he's better than Michael Jordan. Jordan.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a clutch gene. I'm sorry,
What
it's
you mean?
over.
So let me ask you a
It's over.
question.
You're
So
disqualified.
how did he win those 4 Finals MVPs?
Did you
How did he win those 4 Finals MVPs?
Better still, how did he melt down against the Boston Celtics in 2010 when they're up 2-1? How did he melt down against the Dallas Mavericks in 2011 in the finals? How did he melt down in games 4, 5, and 6? I've never seen anything like it before. Jordan melted down none. None. Never.
Whether he melted down or not, it still took him 8, 9 years to reach the NBA Finals. So this notion that Jordan was going to the Finals in his second and third year is just not true. But what you also fail to realize, you keep saying, so how was Paul Pierce doing against LeBron? How many finals did Paul Pierce, how many Eastern Conference Finals did Paul Pierce get to before KG and before Ray Allen?
I don't care about Paul Pierce.
Of course you don't care, because it broke your argument.
Phil Jackson shares my view of LeBron James. Not that he got it from me, but he's always had that view, overrated. So he's telling Jeannie,
how the hell is LeBron James overrated?
37 years of age, and what are you doing, Jeannie? Because if the NBA at large is rating him highly, then what we're not talking about right now, what package could you get for LeBron?
Hold on.
If you could tell me what the package is, I might say, do it.
Hold on. I'm going to tell you who's overrated. Phil Jackson coaching. When you have 5 of the top 75 players, you might have coached 3 of the top 10 players all time. Shaq, Kobe, and Michael. And you keep talking. So if Phil was so great, go somewhere else and win. Build a championship team with the Knicks. But he got